All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack one of the most heated, honestly anxiety-inducing debates of our entire generation. We are diving headfirst into the fascinating clash between artificial intelligence and human creativity to figure out what is actually at stake here. Are we staring down the total death of art, or is this just a massive, completely misunderstood shift in how things are made? Let's find out.
Look, we have to start with a kinda terrifying reality that we're all waking up to. In literally a matter of seconds, AI's incredible speed allows it to spit out complex, staggeringly beautiful artistic outputs. Whether it's conjuring up the whimsical, hyper-detailed visuals of a Studio Ghibli film, writing out a full-length screenplay with formatting and dialogue, or even synthesizing a brand new track using the legendary, iconic voice of Mohammed Rafi, it's doing all of this instantly. So this brings us to the big one, the massive question we have to grapple with today, and really the biggest anxiety of our modern age. Is AI the absolute end of the human artist? I mean, with machines moving at this breakneck speed, is there genuinely any place left for human creativity, or are we just totally obsolete now? This sets the stakes for everything we're about to explore.
Section 1. The illusion of originality. Are we truly original?
You know, this whole debate, it's really not as new as you'd think. To understand the true threat of AI, we actually have to challenge how we view our own human originality. The philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti talked heavily about how our minds are deeply conditioned right from childhood. And the great American writer Mark Twain brilliantly hit the nail on the head when he pointed out that our so-called new ideas are really just recombinations of old existing ideas. He called human creativity a mental kaleidoscope. Just like the toy, we're taking the exact same old colorful beads, giving them a shake and making a seemingly brand new pattern.
Okay, so let's actually demystify how AI works here, because it's essentially a massive digital version of that exact same kaleidoscope. First, a colossal amount of data is fed into it. We're talking millions of books, internet articles, and paintings. Second, it aggressively analyzes all the patterns and styles hidden within that data. And finally, when you give it a prompt, it just imitates that knowledge. For example, if you feed it the complete works of Rabindranath Tagore, it learns his vocabulary, his specific rhythm. If you then type in a prompt asking it to write a poem about hair fall in Tagore's exact style, boom, it generates it in seconds.
But think about it. Both humans and AI fundamentally rely on analyzing past masters. When humans go to art school or film school, what do we actually do? We study Tagore, we obsess over Van Gogh's brushstrokes, we break down Martin Scorsese's camera angles frame by frame. AI training is fundamentally the exact same process. It ingests data from those exact same masters. This really neutralizes that high and mighty argument that AI is just a mindless imitator. While we humans are somehow magically entirely original right from birth, we both need data.
Moving on to Section 2, the rise of factory films, when humans act like AI.
Now, let's shift our focus over to the film industry because this is where the real vulnerability lies. Let's look at the massive copycat culture in mainstream cinema. Lal Singh Chaddha was an official remake of Forrest Gump. Ghazni famously mirrored Memento. Jo Jita Wahi Sikandar pulled super heavily from Breaking Away. Baji copied Die Hard. Doom 3 basically mashed up The Prestige in The Dark Knight. Rattling off this rapid-fire list shows us a hard truth. Long before the tech even arrived, some humans were already acting as an inferior, much slower version of AI, just copying and pasting older data to churn out a new product.
And honestly, it goes way deeper than just direct remakes. Whether we're talking about mainstream masala films with their totally predictable hero entries, Ekta Kapoor's daily TV serials, or even MBA graduates over in Hollywood greenlighting endless, totally safe sequels, these are factory films. They use repetitive templates that are standardized exactly like a McDonald's burger recipe. They are highly predictable, mechanically produced, and incredibly easy to replicate.
Section 3. Corporations versus the artist, the real battle.
So here is the absolutely crucial point where we need to reframe this entire conflict. This isn't really AI versus humans. It's capitalist corporations versus individual artists. If we zoom out, we see this as a cycle. Corporations replacing human labor for profit has been happening forever. We saw it during Gandhi's era when machines replaced handloom weavers. Later on, the invention of the camera completely decimated the careers of portrait sketch artists. In the 20th century, computers arrived and wiped out thousands of bookkeeping jobs. Today, the target is just slightly different. AI is threatening the cognitive, creative arts. The technology itself changes, but the corporate drive to maximize profits by cutting human labor, that remains exactly the same.
Let's actually break down the mechanics here, because this shows exactly why greedy film factories are absolutely going to use AI to replace workers. It's just simple math for them. For script reading, production houses used to pay MBA grads to slowly read through 40-page decks. AI scans them instantly. In editing rooms, interns used to spend grueling hours manually trimming action shots and removing bad takes. AI software can literally do automated timeline assembly now. And for plotting, instead of humans just guessing what an audience might want, AI can analyze massive data sets to perfectly optimize plot tension based on very specific target demographics. If a studio's only goal is just making a cheap, predictable factory film to hit a quota, humans simply cannot compete with this level of efficiency.
Section 4. The power of experience, the human edge.
But right here is where we find our silver lining. This is the ultimate human edge. Yes, AI can capture massive amounts of data. It knows every box office figure and story trope in existence. But only humans can get immersed in a personal experience. Our entirely uncodable secret weapon is our lived experience, our empathy, our trauma, our anger, our love, our totally unique worldview. A machine doesn't feel any of that, it computes it.
Let's look at Indian filmmaker Anurag Kashyap as a perfect case study here. His filmography brilliantly proves this exact concept. Take No Smoking. That wasn't just some random thriller. It was a deeply personal, raw metaphor for his own very real anger toward the censor board. He made the animated film Return of Hanuman specifically as a way to reconnect with his daughter after a tough period of alcoholism. With Dev D, he took a classic story that had been told a dozen times already, but he injected his distinctly modern, gritty, personal perspective right into the veins of it. And Ugly showcased this heart-touching empathy within a profoundly dark subject. This kind of raw, lived-in filmmaking makes an artist totally irreplaceable by a machine. Why? Because a machine simply hasn't lived through those struggles.
So we really have to draw a hard line here between imitation and inspiration. Imitation, exactly like we saw with the factory films, is just mindlessly copying a formula without a single original thought. And yeah, AI is amazing at this. Inspiration, on the other hand, is about absorbing everything around you, world cinema, life, conversations on the bus, to liberate yourself and actually develop your own unique style. Think of how Quentin Tarantino was authentically influenced by the grand, operatic quality of Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns. He didn't just copy him. He digested that style, chewed it up, and fused it with his own incredibly distinct voice. That right there is true human creativity.
Which brings us to Section 5, AI as a creator's tool, the empowering synthesis.
Let's move to our final point, positioning AI not as the enemy, but as your ultimate weapon against the gatekeepers. There's this great piece of advice from Jim Jarmusch, the absolute legend of American indie cinema, and it perfectly anchors our realization here. He says, steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration. If you do this, your work will be authentic. Whether you're inspired by clouds, random street signs, old movies, or even using AI to help brainstorm, as long as it speaks directly to your soul and you filter it through your authentic, messy, human experience, your art remains uniquely yours.
Think about how insanely empowering this actually is. If you treat AI as a tool, just like a digital tablet or a really smart calculator, it empowers you, the individual creator, to drastically reduce your costs. You can now illustrate your own kid's book independently without needing to scrounge up a massive budget. You can use AI to instantly sift through obscure public domain stories to find ideas for your short films. Work that used to require huge studio backing and teams of hundreds of people, you can do it alone now. You can create solo animation films. You can build entire computer games by yourself. AI literally allows the individual artist to bypass the big studio system entirely.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer. I want to leave you with a pretty provocative thought before we wrap up. The landscape is changing. There is no denying that. The corporate factories are absolutely going to automate whatever they can to save a dollar. So the choice isn't really whether AI is going to exist. The choice is how you are going to interact with it. Will you let corporate factories replace you by just acting like a machine yourself? Or will you embrace AI as a deeply powerful tool to amplify and empower your own uncopyable, authentic human voice? The kaleidoscope is in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep creating.